Alright guys, today I'll be giving you my top 20 best looking coasters that I've seen in person. This is judging just based off of how the actual track and structure of the coaster looks, combined with the natural setting, so no extra theming will be taken into account, so no rides like Velocicoaster or Big Bear Mountain. So with that being said, let's get right into the list with number 20, which is Twisted Cyclone. I really wanted to put this higher because I love that white and blue color scheme. But unfortunately, the way Six Flags Over Georgia takes care of it, it's looking a little faded. It could definitely use a repaint, but I love that RMC structure with the blue and white, so it still gets a spot on this list. Coming in at number 19, staying at Six Flags Over Georgia, is Georgia Scorcher. This is the complete opposite of Twisted Cyclone. This is black and red, and it looks equally as amazing. It looks a lot shinier, a lot newer, which is why it's higher. And it just looks really cool on this B&M track, not much else to say. Coming in at number 18 is the saddest one on this list, and it's Kingda Ka. It was an interesting color scheme to say the least, but what really sold it was its towering stature. Obviously the tallest coaster in the world. It looked very imposing, and with that weird green and blue sort of color scheme, it was definitely one of the best looking coasters out there. Coming in at number 17 is the first of a ton of coasters from this park to make the list, and it's Gatekeeper. Yes, Cedar Point's going to have a lot of entries on this list because it's just the best skyline on the planet, but Gatekeeper's definitely one of the better ones here. Obviously, it's the coaster you walk under to get into the park, so that's really cool. The color scheme itself is amazing, but I do think some other coasters execute it better, which is why it's a bit lower on this list. Coming in at number 16 is a coaster that's changing color schemes right now, and that's Panthurian, formerly Intimidator 305, and I didn't really like the red and yellow. It just kind of looks like McDonald's to me, any red and yellow color scheme, but I did like how menacing this ride looked. With only those two support structures holding up the lift, hill, and drop, it really looked like something special, and of course that Intamin Giga track looks phenomenal. Coming in at number 15 is a personal favorite of mine. This is Magnum XL200. A lot of these arrows kind of look cool, but Magnum in particular looks really nice with how big it is. I also like the red and white color scheme, and there's something special about how the supports are for this ride, especially on the lift hill. It looks like a bunch of steel cages more than anything, which is really cool. Coming in at number 13 is another one from Cedar Point. This is Steel Vengeance. Now, I know some of you might have it higher. I do really like how it looks, but it's just kind of bland, the color scheme and everything. I will say, this might be top 5 during sunset, given the theme, but during the day, it's just kind of a huge wooden coaster by the looks of it, even though it's obviously not a wooden coaster. I think the track being brown really hurts it. It would have really popped more if they went with a unique color, or they could have just repainted the wood supports. It's still really cool seeing that big of a wooden structure. And yes, at sunset, it fits that Frontier Town vibe better than pretty much anything else can. Coming in at number 13 is Hulk. This ride is an icon. Everyone knows this ride. Everyone knows what it looks like, and it's for good reason. That Cobra roll over the water looks really cool. And I get that Hulk has a lot of theming, but it still looks phenomenal, even taking out the theming. Coming in at number 12 is Sky Rush. This is a really cool one. I've seen this a lot more than some of these on this list, and I still love it every single time I see it. It has a similar type of lift, hill, and drop as Panthurian, but I do like the yellow and blue colors a bit better, and also, you can't not talk about Sky Rush without talking about the setting. One of the best settings for any coaster out there over Spring Creek. Coming in at number 11 is another one over water, and this one's Mako. I don't know, there's something about that weird reddish, pinkish color scheme over that water. I just love it. Pretty much the entirety of this ride is over water, either the first half or the finale, and the finale looks amazing from the pathway too, and it just looks like a big, intimidating ride. Last one over water for now, coming in at number 10 is Maverick, another Cedar Point coaster. The red and white looks really good on this Intamin track, but of course, the main thing that sells it is that shot over the water. I mean, you take out the rock work and it still would look phenomenal. especially given what a twisted mess of track this ride is. It's just one of the best coasters to watch, period. Coming in at number 9 is one of the two on this list I actually haven't ridden, and this is Stardust Racers. I'm including it on the list because I have seen it from the road, and I gotta tell you, I'm really hyped for it. Obviously, most of that's because of the actual layout, but it still looked amazing from the highway. There's something about these two tracks weaving in and out of each other that just looks so cool, especially with that yellow and green. Coming in at number 8 is probably one of the most iconic coasters ever. It's Kumba. Everyone loves that shot of the interlocking corkscrews, and for good reason. It looks amazing. The color scheme's cool too, and it's also sort of out there in the woods. Not really anything too impressive, but it's definitely a really solid looking coaster, especially for that one shot of the interlocking corkscrews. Coming in at number 7 is another B&M, and it's Alpengeist. Again, I love my blue and white, and this is a good example of it, especially with that lift hill that looks like a ski lift. That's just a brilliant design choice, and the track itself with the blue supports looks incredible on this massive of a B&M invert. Coming in at number 6 is a B&M Giga, and this is Orion. Yes, Fury 325 did not make the list, and it's not just because I'm biased. I just genuinely think the blue with the green underneath looks kind of ugly, but Orion looks fantastic with the white supports that are kind of gray, kind of not. I don't know, I'm colorblind, so I can't really tell, but some say they're gray, and then the blue track just looks amazing. And I mean, it's a B&M Giga, it's huge. Coming in at number 5 is a coaster that I used to think was number 1 on this list, and it's Millennium Force. I still think it looks incredible, but I realized there's 4 others that I would rather look at than this. The lift hill looks stunning with that truss cage design that Magnum sort of has, but there's a lot less supports on this one than Magnum, which really makes that lift hill look intimidating. And of course, it's got that blue and white color scheme, and it's right next to the water. I mean, what more do you want? Coming in at number 4 is the other coaster on this list that I did not get a chance to ride, and this is Top Thrill 2. This ride looks massive. That top hat looks just as good as King Kaz, but it has an extra spike, which looks amazing, and more importantly, the color scheme is fantastic with the red, white, and gray. I mean, they couldn't have really done a better job with Top Thrill 2's color scheme than they did, and of course, it looks stunning in the skyline. Now, the top 3 are all RMCs with trusses, and I realize that these 3 just look fantastic. I'm sure Goliath, Zadra, all those would be up here too if I got to see them in person, but for now, these are the top 3. So coming in at number 3 is Wildcat's Revenge. I mean, it just looks fantastic. The red and black with that black truss is just so cool looking. I love how they were a lot more creative with the colors than Steel Vengeance, with some black cross ties here and there, and of course that black truss. And the red track looks a lot better than the brown. Coming in at number 2 is Iron Gwazi. This looks about as good as Wildcat's Revenge, but a lot bigger, a lot more imposing, and the purple track looks pretty cool. I mean, what can I say, that truss lift hill looks phenomenal. And coming in at number 1, this really shouldn't surprise you, it's Air Force One. I know, call me biased because it's my number 1 by a long shot or whatever, but yeah, Air Force One looks so good. It's not quite as big as Iron Gwazi, I get that, but you can get right up to it and everything, and it looks so big compared to everything else in the area, it's not even funny, and the color scheme is fantastic. You get both red and white and blue and white on this coaster, because you have one blue rail and one red rail. The layout itself looks fantastic with this white support structure and everything, and overall, I mean, Air Force One's just such a cool ride to look at. I would definitely look at it a lot more if I could just pull myself away from the ride for 2 seconds. So that is the top 20 best looking coasters that I have seen personally. Let me know what you guys thought of this list down in the comments below. Make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.